It's a common scenario. You've waited so long for your tulip order to arrive. With visions of a fantastic spring display, you open them up and then disaster. Some of your tulips display signs of mould. If it's your first tulip order, you probably feel like crying. So what do? Should you discard them? Should you plant them anyway? But will they flower? Will they contaminate other tulips? Or will they contaminate your soil? I'm Rachel from Douentza Garden in Ireland, and if this has happened to you, then stay tuned and I'll run through what exactly to do. The first question we need to ask ourselves is, why do tulip bulbs go mouldy? Now, a bulb can start its life as perfectly healthy, but if stored badly, if kept in a damp, warm place with poor air circulation, then it's very likely to get mould. When you receive your bulbs, keep them in a place which is cool, which has good air circulation and which is very dry, like a greenhouse, perhaps a shed. The worst place you can put them is in the house, and they should be stored in paper bags or mesh bags. It can also happen that a bulb has been accidentally damaged, perhaps from a sorting machine at the factory, and that means it's more susceptible to fungal infections, opportunistic ones, that will be triggered by less than optimal storage conditions. Now, a little bit of mould is not usually a cause for concern, and we will go through how to deal with that. But there are 4 main really nasty fungal infections that tulips can have, and 12 different viruses, and you don't want to let any of those into your garden. And most of these diseases can be seen on the bulb before you plant it. If you have received a bulb that is mouldy, you should firstly ensure that it is firm, not soft, has no liquid oozing from it, and has no bad smell. If it displays any of these, discard it. Softness, oozing, or bad smell can be a sign of one of the diseases which I'll run through in a minute. At a minimum, it's a sign that your bulb is on its way to rotting, so there's no point in planting it because it won't come up. If your bulb is firm, make up a solution of 10% bleach. You could alternatively use 3% hydrogen peroxide solution or a dilute vinegar solution. But, and this is important, don't mix and match. Bleach and vinegar should never be mixed, as together they form the extremely toxic mustard gas. Clean your bulbs in the solution and leave sit for about 1 minute. Normally, the outer skin of the tulip, called the tunic, should be left intact as it's a protective layer. However, you may need to remove it to get all the mould off. Occasionally, you may need to remove an outer layer of the tulip bulb. These layers are, however, food and will not inhibit flowering. If there's any mould on any side bulbils, I just take them off. These aren't going to produce flowers anyway. There are some warning signs, however, to look out for. If your bulb displays scab-like spots and black sclerotia on the outer white scales, then this is a sign of tulip fire and you should discard the bulb. Tulip fire is a fungal infection that lives in the soil, and the only way to get rid of it in your garden is to remove all tulips and wait 3 years for it to die. If you plant a bulb with tulip fire in a pot, it will probably not flower well, as small oval spots often appear on flower petals, destroying the bloom's appearance. If by chance you do plant such a bulb in a pot, make sure to discard the potting mix afterwards and not to lay it on your garden or in the compost bay. Grey bulb rot is another fungal infection that causes similar symptoms to tulip fire. Bulbs will fail to emerge, but if they do, their growth will be distorted, just like tulip fire. The third fungal disease to look out for is basil rot or fusarium. Infected bulbs become soft, lightweight, and develop brown spots and a honey-like ooze. They may also have a foul, sour smell. Fusarium produces a large quantity of the plant hormone ethylene. Ethylene can cause flower abortion, so you're unlikely to get flowers on any bulbs infected by this fungus, and perhaps it will affect adjacent tulips too. The final fungus to beware of is Pythium root rot. Bulbs have soft grey spots with brown borders near the base of the bulb. Bulbs often have a strong odour and may be soft when squeezed. Blossoms regularly fall off before opening. Besides fungal diseases, there are many tulip viruses out there, the most famous of which is the tulip breaking virus. Signs of viruses on bulbs are sunken brown spots and arcs or rings in the bulbs. Plants with tulip breaking virus will be more stunted than others and will display streaking on flowers and leaves. This can actually give rise to very beautiful flowers, but is inherently a sign of an unhealthy plant. The virus is spread by aphids and nematodes and can infect other garden plants. Once bulbs are nicely cleaned, they need to be dried. I prefer to pat them dry, but then leave them to air dry further until it is time to plant them. And of course, if you receive a lot of bulbs from your supplier that are heavily infected with mold, then you really should contact them and explain what's happened, especially if any of them display the symptoms of the nasty diseases that we've talked about in this video today. If you want some photographs of how these diseases look on bulbs, then check the description of this video and you'll find links to sites that have detailed photographs and more information. And it remains for me to say, I hope that this video has empowered you and made you more confident on how to deal with moldy bulbs. And after all that, if you're still in the mood for tulips, then do check out 2 of my videos, which I'll link to at the end and also in the video description. The one is a beautiful tour I made earlier this year in April to the Tulip Festival in Istanbul, Turkey. It's absolutely amazing. Do check it out. I'm sure you'll love it. And then the second video is one I made recently where I planted up some bulbs myself. And if you're still looking for bulbs, then do check out the Bulby website and take account of my discount. So if you want 10% off the already cheap bulbs on the Bulby website, then use the discount code Rachel10. And there are 2 sites, one for the UK and one for the EU where I am. Thank you as always for watching, and I will see you on the next video. Bye!